Welcome everybody to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast, and in this episode we're going to review Citadel episode 4, now streaming on Prime Video. This was an action-packed episode, as you will expect. A lot of things were revealed and a lot of twists and turns along the way. Dylan, why don't we start with your thoughts?
Yeah, well, right from the get-go, first of all, I love that they always incorporate that upside-down motif. I think it's so cool. Yeah. It's kind of like a thread line. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this episode, we get to see Mason's quote-unquote wife, right, Abby, or as she's, her real identity is Celeste Graham. So we see like her origin story. Also, it seems like Nadia is kind of like not to be really trusted because she kind of set this whole thing in motion. And from the beginning scene, it was kind of cool. We got like this cool, almost like this GoldenEye type of mission where they had to free Carter. He's like the communications guy. I love what they did with the action. Like, I guess the Russos just have like a knife trick fetish or something. Like when she did that kick, I thought that was cool. But what did you think of that opening scene? Yeah,
no, the opening scene for sure was eye catcher. I think, again, the show looks expensive. I think everything is great. There's some times where I kind of feel like it's not super realistic. I mean, and that's kind of the trope that happens with action. It's like, instead of just shooting the guy, they want to do some jiu-jitsu a little bit or something. Right. But I mean, that's fine. I think what really shocked me was that Carter said, like, get away, this is all your fault. And then Mason's like, what? And then all this time we had this belief that it was something that Mason did. And so how we get exposition on that is through the flashback. So most of this episode was through flashbacks as well. For the most part, this formula I don't feel is too jaunting because I feel like they put something in the beginning that's not so substantial. It's just an action thing, and then something's revealed, and then the flashback for a long time. And at least the flashbacks aren't very, I'd say, talkative. They have a good mix of action and dialogue that I think probably is impactful towards the story. I must say, one of my main gripes with this is I feel like perhaps this is a little bit too streamlined in the sense that it does feel like kind of like an event. There's a game called Quantum Break, made by Remedy, and I think Remedy. And what happens is that you have like huge A-listers playing these roles, and so because it's in a game, what they do is they incorporate live action sequences, and those live action sequences seem like it's more of an event, like an exclusive thing. And I know that Prime spent a lot of money on this show, but I think sometimes that could get in the way of how, I'd say, intimate we should feel with the story. Like, I don't feel so connected to these characters as much, which is really, I think what's really actually hooking me is the performances. But in a grand scheme of things, then it just snaps me back out of it. So there's like a big back and forth. That's jaunting, not the actual going back in the days and stuff like that. But give me more of your thoughts.
Yeah, I thought, well, it's interesting because I thought this story was going to be so centric on Mason and Nadia. And it seems like it's more about Mason, and then Nadia just kind of like there as like a side character sometimes. And then we get like moments with like standing Tucci too. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like some sort of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing where it's like this whole plot is centered around their relationship. And it kind of is, but I feel like it's more centered around Mason because the first shot of the series was actually Nadia. And then we got Mason, so I was like, okay, well, who's the real protagonist here? Right. I thought it was gonna be like a shared thing. It doesn't offer much, like you said, it's very tropey. But nonetheless, I still think it's a great kind of addition to the action spy thriller genre. So what did you think of Celeste's story in this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to spend more time. I know they don't. The thing is, they're kind of like they got to keep going. They don't have a lot of time to expand on things. So I actually like her character. She's kind of like this badass young chick who's just getting into it, and I don't know. I wish they kind of explored more of the. It's not, she's a spy. She's pretending to be in love with this character, Anders, that apparently, I thought he was just like a hitman or something, but apparently he's like a scientist and he's like preparing something. Yeah, that shocked me. So she's trying to get in his mind and try to figure out what he's working on and whatnot. And it's like, I wish we spent more time with that. maybe we would have felt more impacted a little bit later on, because I got a feeling that something bad's going to happen to her, unfortunately. But yeah, I liked the little twist, the little recruitment scenes that we see, that like you have to know how to lie to a person where it's actually true, and you're going to be so into it that weekly I'll remind you like who you are. That's how deep she's going to be in. And it kind of shows you the commitment that the Citadel program goes through. So, and we also figure out that she has a brother that has like a gambling problem, probably like it addicted to some substance or whatever. So, but that confuses me, because what the hell happened to him in the future?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, what did you think?
She seems like an interesting character. I thought it was really a risk-taking thing that they made her, because she said she like her most undercover she ever did was like 3 weeks,
right?
And they wanted her to do like for 3 months. I was like, oh shit, like why would you like put somebody through that, right? So yeah, and then she like, you know, goes through this whole, and I thought it was interesting too. She's actually the first test subject for the the backstop program, for the memory wipe thing. So I thought that was cool too, and she actually like goes along with it. And Mason, I must say, wow, what a showcase of his character, right? Because at first we think he's like this cocky guy, and you know he bends the rules a little bit, but to see him in this episode was like a complete 180 on his character, because he's so like ruthless and like kind of cold. And he wants the truth, right? And I thought interesting too, because as we find out at the end of this episode, he's actually protecting Nadia, because I think it's alleged that Nadia is the true mole. That's why I thought it was ironic when he said a great spy needs to tell the truth, because it's like he's actually lying to Citadel to protect Nadia. Which is interesting, because Carter said like it's Nadia's fault, but then I'm also like, well, Mason kind of protected her too, so isn't he kind of like shared with the blame too?
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, I mean he has a part in it. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I felt bad for, well, and I guess now Abby, I feel bad for her that she was on the table, and I don't know, there's something like animalistic about the camera shots and whatnot, and it was like pretty sad. But yeah, Carter knew, and Carter connected the dots, and Carter basically was saying there has to be a mole, and I thought that was the part where he was going to say that, oh, it's you. I was like, you must be a dumbass to say in front of that guy's face, because he's gonna kill you. But instead, it's Nadia. I always knew there was something fishy. I'm glad that there was like some foreshadowing earlier on, so we finally see that, yeah, Nadia has something. But what confuses me, like, maybe that's a good thing, because it keeps you guessing each episode, but it's like, why is Nadia playing this game now, Mason? What, is she bored? Like, what's going on? Unless there's going to come to a point where she's going to eliminate Bernard once they're like in the same room or something, or do something to eliminate some computer program once they're actually there, and she was using Mason as like just some backup. I don't know. There's a lot of conflicting thoughts too, because again, they're really in the thick of it. So maybe Manticore is basically like Citadel. I think what makes the actual program is the people inside of it, and that's what affects the actual thing, the institution.
Unless Manticore somehow has something on Nadia too that makes her kind of like a rogue agent in a way.
Oh, so it's
kind of like what Mason was saying, like everybody has a price, like with Celeste. Like maybe she has somebody that she's protecting too, right?
So what you're saying is that Nadia is basically like Vin Diesel from one of the Fast movies, and he had to go against his own family. Yeah, that's what it is. Maybe it could be. I mean, like again, these movies, I mean, these shows, they have a lot of intertextuality. They pull from different sources and stuff.
We'll probably see her in Fast X. I mean.
yeah,
give it time.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it for sure. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on? I guess this episode felt very quick, very fast paced, which I didn't actually appreciate. I wish it was like it lived in the moment a little bit longer. But what other key moments do you want to talk about?
It was very flashback centric. It was mainly Abby's story, and I wondered too, like how this affects. Also, I was wondering too, like why she was in the dark for so long, because she didn't check in with Mason for like, I think he said like 3 months or something. So I was wondering like why did she just tell the truth outright? You know, it's like instead of like trying to make it seem like you're innocent, like why not just tell the truth, right?
Maybe she actually did fall in love with, but they were like punching each other later on, and I was like, whoa. But maybe
that was the brother, I think.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, so maybe they were in love. They actually did fall in love, and then she had her memory wiped. So maybe that's why the brother cared so much, because there's one thing to act, but this time when you're actually in it, maybe it's what Mason said, that I have to remind you, but she didn't want to be reminded because she actually genuinely enjoyed that love and felt love. Maybe that's why.
And you know what? That makes sense too, because he said the third rule of undercover is remember why you're there, right? Because like, don't fall for your own cover story. Right. So maybe she did actually like kind of fall for him in a way. Now I'm wondering, because like, okay, so she lost her memories, right? Now if she sees Anders again, is that gonna somehow unlock something, or is he gonna like try and convince her that he's like, or they had a thing together? I wonder how that's gonna affect like her relationship with Mason too, and how do they set him up with Abby in the first place too, right?
Well, that's the problem with these shows. They implicate faux amnesia sometimes. It's like it's amnesia when it's convenient, and then you remember when it's convenient just for the plot. So like, I feel like Mason remembers some stuff, right? So I feel like for sure she sees Anders' face or whatever, she's going to like, remember something.
It'll be like with Mason with Nadia, like he keeps seeing her face, so maybe she keeps seeing Anders' face or something.
Yeah, but that's complicated too, because now what's good? The problem, this problem could be resolved easily if there wasn't a kid, but now that there is a kid, now it gets muddy. So it's like, it's going to be pretty toxic a little later on. Yeah.
Mason just doesn't pay child support after this show.
I was about to say, that's how you do it. That's
and then he makes another undercover face, and then it's like, bye.
Just erase his memories again. How convenient, right? When you don't remember to take out the trash. I forgot. Sorry.
Damn, I need to be a spy.
Right. Well, what would you rate this episode?
I mean, it was pretty short. We did get a lot of exposition, but I feel like the other episodes hooked me in more. We only got like a little bit of Stanley Tucci in this episode, so I'm wondering like what's happening with him. So overall, it wasn't a bad episode, but I'd probably give it maybe like 8 out of 10. How would you rate it?
I think I'd probably give it like a 7. I give it like a 7. Yeah, it was alright. It was whatever. Well, hopefully next episode's a little bit better. It seems like it's the same shit, different smell. I don't know. Cotter is going to be more involved, so we'll see where it'll take us.
All right, guys. Well, you hear it here. That's our review for episode 4 of Citadel, now on Prime. Check it out if you haven't already. Check out our other reviews. We're also reviewing Silo on Apple TV Plus. We're about to review that next. But thank you guys for your patronage as always. Check us out on whatever platform you're listening to. But until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you guys.